Hi, this is Juliette Labousse, and you are listening to the Wheel Talk podcast. And we are almost live from Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Stage number 2, from Brest to Quimper.
Welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. We're here to break down stage 2. There was a 100-kilometre stage with 11 kilometres neutral starting in the beautiful town of Brest. Thank you to the lovely writer Juliette Labousse for introducing the podcast today. I'm here with my lovely host at a really reasonable hour. The sun is still up. And we're going to set the scene, Matt de Neef.
It's good to be back and recording at a very reasonable hour of just before 8 o'clock in the evening. We're in a beautiful little restaurant here in the old town in Vannes where the first stage started. We just had a lovely salad, each of us, and feeling replenished and rehydrated and good to go after flagging a little bit in the last little while.
And how are you feeling this evening, Georgie Howe, after your luxurious day in the VIP car?
Oh, yeah, I had a fantastic day in the VIP car with you, Loren Rowney, and the lovely Kate Verino and the lovely Chantal, former pro herself, extremely accomplished. And I felt, it was felt very spoiled all day. We got a lovely little goodie bag and we got to drive the course. And I think the best part of the day was seeing the fans on the side of the road. It was absolutely packed.
Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit about our day because I think it's worth mentioning. And some of the topics that came up in that car drive, we're going to get into that off the mic segment. So if you are a member of Escape, you're going to have access to that at the end of this podcast. If you're not, I highly recommend signing up for the juicy bits that we're not going to discuss during today's podcast. But why don't we just start with a little bit of a breakdown of the stage and how it went down. Like I mentioned at the start, it wasn't as short and sharp as stage 1, but it was 110 kilometers. Starting in the beautiful town of Brest, as far west, I think, as you can go in France. And from the start, it was clear that multiple teams wanted to get off the front and make something of the stage, most notably Picnic and L with Francesca Koch, again, being very aggressive. She managed to get a gap at 103 kilometres to go and was joined quickly by Aude Bianic from Movistar. Really good to see her up there after their horrific day yesterday. Vos and Wiebes then went all in for the intermediate sprints, with Wiebes taking the points. But the break of the day really went around 60 kilometres ago when Silke Smulders of Liv AlUla Jayco set off to take the QOM, followed by the current QOM leader jersey of Elise Shabby from FDJ Suez. We're going to talk a little bit more of the QOM later, but actually Matt de Neef wrote a really nice piece about that we're going to link in the show notes, so make sure you check that out. So after that, at around 31 kilometres ago, Maeve Squiben from UAE Team ADQ joined Shabby and Smulders off the front, and at that moment is actually when Kim Lecourt got into a little bit of trouble with a mechanical issue, but got a running push from her teammate Shari Boussard and managed to catch back up to the bunch. And it was at this point that it started getting really hectic on those roads. And as we've discussed, the roads around Brittany are really narrow, and it was actually the perfect day. As Georgie and I were driving in the car, we kept saying, yep, this is the day for a break to go. And we'll get into the finisher a little bit later. But then around 22 kilometres to go, there was a surprise move by Cassio Nua Doma, and only Pauline Ferron-Perot could follow. So I think there was a bit of panic. I was standing in the VIP section at that moment, and there was a bit of a moment from a few of the team managers that were there, but that got shut down considering who was in that two-person move. And then it was Rihanna Marcus. And, you know, Georgie, you called it out that she was a rider that we need to see her doing more of these moves. But that was also then shut down when Voss's team came to the front. They had a mission today to go again and keep Voss in the yellow and take the win. So with 12 kilometres to go, it was all back together, and then Liv AlUla Jayco's Mavi Garcia launched a formidable attack. Everyone sort of looked around, and then I think even the riders that maybe could have gone with this opportunity, she was just too strong on the day. So, they had some bad luck yesterday, so it was great to see them off the front. And then in the final kilometres, it looked like with that pressure within the peloton, they were really no in. Even Vollering happened to take the front. But, the attack from Mavi Garcia was just too good, and she ended up taking the win. I think we should break down a little bit what happened in those final kilometres, though, because there's a little more to unpack there.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think the attack from Mavi at 11Ks to go was perfectly timed. The break had just come back, and then she went straight away. She was led into a very technical part by her teammate, Ruby Bresman-Gannon. I broke down Mavi's win on Escape Collective earlier today, if you want to go over there and have a read. But once Ruby led her into that technical section, Mavi slingshot off, and she was gone. The time she lost yesterday on GC actually helped her get off the front today and aided that moment of hesitation in the bunch.
Why don't we hear from her teammate Ella Wyllie, who was very excited about this win?
Today was an epic day for the team because Mavi won the stage. It was a really exciting day, I think, actually. In the end, the circuits made it really fast and a lot of opportunities. There was a lot of punchy climbs, and this was a target. And to see Mavi go clear with 10Ks to go and hold off the peloton was just so cool. All the girls worked really hard. Silke had a good day in the break and got some QM points. I think we just all worked really well together, rode as a team, and it was an epic day.
Then Mavi was off the front and out of sight, out of mind. She was hovering at about 15, 24, 25 seconds initially, then it came down to 15 seconds, and it came down to 10 seconds, and then once they hit the base of the climb, the bunch started looking at each other. Well, Kopecky was on the front drilling it, but once Kopecky pulled off, the impetus went out of the bunch and the gap blew out to about 15 seconds again.
Yeah, and Chloe Dygert as well did a massive pull there on the front on that final climb and dragged it back to within a few seconds, and it looked like Garcia was going to be caught. But then once she sat up and, the impetus, as you say, went out of the chase, and she was just able to hang on. And we saw a nice little battle behind as well for the minor placings. But Lorena Vibas came in second with a pretty strong sprint on that uphill finish. And I think normally a rider that finishes second on the stage of the Tour would be bitterly disappointed to get that close and not take the win. But speaking with her at the bus afterwards, she was not delighted, but just very happy with how it went, because she had no expectations of winning today, really. It's stages 3 and 4 that are earmarked by the team for her, and today was going to be just a bonus, and she was just really happy to have ridden away from some of the big GC favourites and other riders that would be more favoured on that uphill finish.
Yeah, the comments that we said in the interview were extremely complimentary of her team, of Mavi Garcia, but also of her own ability to last that long and in such a hard final. Like, she can take a lot of confidence from that as a rider, and as someone who's just every season her versatility just increases.
Yeah, I think for ST Works, it's positive signs for the coming 2 stages. Those were the ones that she had bookmarked. So stage 3 and stage 4, we're going to get into stage 3 later in the podcast, are designed for a sprinter like Wiebes. So for her to be so good today on a hard stage, she's already shown she's got the form. Kopecky will be a really important part of that, but we don't want to go into that too much. I just want to circle back to Mavi's win, because I think we need to talk a little bit more about this, what that means for Liv AlUla Jayco as a team, her as an individual. And like I alluded to in that off the mic segment, we're going to dive a little bit more into the power of the Tour de France Femmes and the importance of these wins for teams and the continuation of them.
Yeah, Mavi is 41 years old. Like, she is one of the, I don't hope she doesn't mind me saying this, one of the veterans of the peloton. She has been around forever, really, in the eons of women's cycling, and she has had her ups and downs throughout the years. And in her post-race press conference, she spoke about how she only does this because she enjoys it, and the minute she stops enjoying it, she's leaving. So the fact that she's still here at 41 years of age means that she still loves racing her bike. And to pick herself back up after such a horror day yesterday, literally off the pavement, minutes down on GC, to then be able to turn that around and have that opportunistic attack and then solo away to a very impressive victory and the biggest victory of her career at 41 years of age.
Yeah, not to belabor the point, but at 41 years old, she's the oldest rider in the race. And by a considerable margin, Marianne Vos is the second oldest at 38 years. So 3 years difference there. But yeah, as you say, Georgie, biggest win of her career. And she's had some great results over the years. But I feel like she's a rider that's always been thereabouts and always in the mix and always playing a role. But to see her convert this great attack into the biggest win of her career today was, something pretty special, I thought.
Yeah, and then what it means for the team as well. Like that's been 414 days between drinks for Liv AlUla Jayco. So I bet they're raring to crack open that champagne tonight.
Yeah, and then in third position coming in was Kim Lecourt, who is off to a phenomenal start, not only for herself but for AG Insurance Sudal. And in the hype of the finish of Mavi winning, I think everyone sort of forgot what had happened with the yellow jersey, and it turned out that on the countback of points that Kim Lecourt had taken it. And there's just some beautiful footage of Kim at the finish. She didn't want to believe it until she saw it basically in writing that it had been confirmed that she had taken that yellow jersey. And Kim is the first African woman to pull on that jersey. She said some beautiful things during the press conference. And as such, Vos lost the jersey, but we had discussed that wasn't the plan initially. Like, they were there for stages and it was great to have her in yellow, but it's not the plan to keep the jersey all the way to the finish.
Yeah, I saw Vos in the mix zone after the finish doing her interviews, and she just seemed really happy. You know, she didn't seem disappointed at all. She's in the green jersey, and we saw from her move in the intermediate sprint that seems to be a goal for her this week. But she seemed very happy. She gave Kim Lecourt a big hug there in the mix zone. And just to clarify, in case it wasn't totally clear, they're locked on the same time, the two of them. So it is a countback that separates them. Lecourt's second and third on the first two stages versus Vos's first and fifth. So that race for yellow is very tight, and I'm sure we're going to see some changes in that over the next few days.
And actually, if you think of tomorrow's stage, it could be very well that Vos takes yellow back tomorrow. But why don't we hear from Imogen Wolff, one of Vos's teammates, about their day?
Yeah, stage 2 of the tour is finished. And I have to say, this was a pretty crazy 2 days of my first Tour de France. Yeah, I think we were all sort of riding the high a bit from yesterday, and we just wanted to take the momentum with us. I think the motivation was at an all-time high after, Mariana and Pauline, but also the rest of the girls are really happy with the way we rode yesterday. We were looking to sort of try and do similar today. But I actually think today was, maybe more hectic than yesterday. It was harder. Some more climbing and elevation meters before the local lap. My goal was to sort of get over these climbs and bring the team in a good spot to the local lap. And then from then on out, the girls did a really good job with positioning and keeping Pauline and Mariana in the front. And at the end of the day, Pauline had no gaps on GC, and Mariana fought it out for the win. Yeah, there was no repeat of yesterday, but I mean, Mavi did such a really gutsy ride. And personally, I got to soak up a bit of the tour atmosphere after my job was done in the Gruppetto, and this was really cool. Everyone says there's nothing like the Tour de France, but there really is nothing like the Tour de France. The crowds were insane. And I have to say, I think the phrase of the tour is probably Allez Pauline. I've heard so many of these, even the first 2 days, but now time to recover and on to 2 flatter days. So morale in the team is really good, and we're all really excited for the next 7 days. Thanks.
And on Imogen Wolff, 18 years old, youngest rider in the peloton, in the peloton at Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. So we just talked about the oldest rider taking a stage win, and now we get to hear from the youngest.
I want to focus a little bit more on Kim Lecourt and what this means for cycling in general. I asked her a question after the race. She hadn't realized it herself. I think the shock hadn't really set in of what it means to take a yellow jersey, the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Kim, this is her second season in the World Tour. She's 29 years old. For those who have followed her journey, she came into the peloton very briefly 9 years ago. She raced Flèche Wallonne. She was the last finisher in that race. And then this year she took out her first monument win with Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I think that was the first monument for the team as well, perhaps. And then to come out and get second on stage one, third on the second stage, and just been riding so consistently this whole year. Like for AG Insurance, Soudal, this is a dream situation they're in right now. The ambition is, of course, yellow at the end of the Tour de France Femmes, but I think based off the project that they've been building over the years and what they've been able to achieve this year has just been so incredible to watch.
Yeah, it's actually, it's like quite heartwarming when you see a team that is a bit of an underdog, someone that's had to kind of fight for their space in the peloton, to come up and pull on something as coveted as the yellow jersey at the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift with a rider from a country like Mauritius. It's first time I saw in 122 years. Well, the first time in the 122-year history of the Tour de France that a Mauritian rider has pulled on the yellow jersey. So that, no wonder the emotion, like that is super special. And I can think of no better deserving winner for this. And given the next two stages, I think she could wear it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before the race, that it'll be obviously the Col de la Madeleine that will decide not just how Kim Lecourt goes on GC, but the GC overall. And that is the big question, really, how she's going to go on that day. But as you guys have said, the fact that she's in yellow at all is a massive win for her and for her team. And she'll enjoy that opportunity tomorrow. And there's stages coming up that certainly suit her as well to have an impact and retain that yellow jersey, or possibly even win a stage along the way. So it's been really cool to see her development as a rider over the last 12 months, and to see her, another rider who is thereabouts and in the mix for so long. A lot of top tens, a lot of time spent in the finals of big races, and she kind of cracked the code this year finally, and that Liège win was a massive one for her and for the team. And just a very exciting ride to see, and so cool to see her development continue now in yellow at the Tour.
Yeah, and we touched on stage 3, which is tomorrow, and the riders will be traveling in a southeasterly direction with a pretty steady tailwind all day. So the 160 kilometers will be covered fairly quickly. I think they're predicting an average speed of about 42 kilometers per hour. But I just want to touch briefly on the final 5 kilometers. It's heading into a very technical city centre, which includes roundabouts, traffic islands. I don't have the markers that Team DSs can put on VeloViewer, but I've seen photos of it, and there are hazards all over the place: speed bumps, traffic islands, roundabouts. Thank you to the UCI once again because I reckon handlebar width is really going to save riders tomorrow in this final 5 kilometers. Possibly even gear ratio has got nothing to do with course design, because at the 1 kilometre to go mark, in fact, shorter than that, 750 metres to go, the riders will take a left turn over tram tracks or train tracks. And where have we seen this before? Stage 6 of 2023 is, to my recollection, last time I saw it, in the final 1 kilometre where the UCI did that, and there was a massive crash in the final 1 kilometre of that race, which really impacted the sprint. But Emma Norsgaard then won that stage due to that crash. It's the final is going to be really tricky tomorrow. It'll be a really fast run in, a fairly flat stage given the distance, 1,200 meters over 160 k's. So expect a fast and furious run in into that town, and a race to get there as well.
The first 2 stages have been fast and furious, hectic, as you imagine at the start of Grand Tour, like the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Tomorrow's the first real sprint stage. Then we've got another one that follows that. What do we think the teams are thinking? Of course, SD Works Pro Time, I think they're all in for Weavers tomorrow. I think they'll be happy to control it and let a break go and then try and bring that back in. That's a safe scenario for Anna, that she gets to maybe just relax a bit in the bunch. For the other GC contenders, I see them being quite happy with that. But if there are opportunities to capitalize on the GC, do we think that they will be taking those opportunities now, or is the back end of this race just simply too hard?
Yeah, I believe that the back end is just simply too hard. I think that the first two stages have been so on that a lot of riders will be looking forward to a couple of sprint days. Not to say sprint days can be easy. I lost count of the amount of stages. My DS would say, today's just a sprint day. It's no dramas. Just sit in the peloton and rest your legs. Bullshit. Some of the hardest days of the Tour have been like that. So I never discount a stage of the Tour de France. It is the Tour de France after all. But I would say many riders will be looking forward to an easier day, including the GC favourites, given what's coming up.
Why don't we throw to Sarah Van Dam, a Ceratizit rider, and hear exactly how hard today was.
Hello, this is Sarah Van Dam coming to you after stage 2. I just finished up with massage and now just relaxing until dinner. Today was another crazy day, full gas from the start, technical through towns, up and down all day. Just not a good day to have bad legs, really. But it is what it is, and we have 7 more days to come, so we'll look for more opportunities. But a really crazy moment today was at the top of the hill. One of the hills, the broadcasting helicopter flew super low, and there was just an insane amount of wind coming from it. And I've never experienced that before, and hopefully they give us a bit more space in the days to come. But yeah, although today wasn't a good day for our team, we're keeping our heads high and excited for more opportunities in the days to come. Chat soon and bye.
Talking about hard days, stage 1 was pretty rough for quite a few teams and individuals, and we thought maybe it was just because it was the opening of a Grand Tour. It was short, sharp, as some of the XC riders describe it. Both Puck and Mona had said to their Team DSs that it was like an XCC race, the short crit sort of race that mountain bikers do before the real event. And today it seemed like a few riders were still having troubles, that they just didn't have the legs that they probably expected to bring to this race. It was really good to see Leanna Lippard back up there again. I think that was really promising for Movistar. We hope to see them continue on and have a good week. But yeah, some riders definitely weren't having fun out there, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of Kopecky off the back again today after her tough stage 1, and she got dropped and it looked like she was done for the day. But it was really encouraging to see her catch back on to the bunch. Not only that, but then go on to play such an important role in the finale there for Wiebes. And while she didn't win the stage, it was encouraging to see Kopecky ride so well. I kind of just wanted to talk a bit more about Kopecky, though, and just how she's going, because standing at the start today in the mix zone, which is where all the riders come after they've gone onto the stage to get presented for the day and sign on and all that, she cut a pretty dejected figure, and we know that she's having a pretty hard time at the moment. She's had a rough year with that knee injury and then the back injury that saw her leave the Giro, and she just looks to be having a really hard time. She refused to speak to any media. She rode straight past all of the TV crews and other journalists asking for interviews, just ignored them, and then stopped basically at the end of the mix zone to sign interviews for some young fans there, which was nice to see. But just really not having a good time, and I just feel for her. Honestly, I hope she's doing okay, and I hope that she can bounce back and find some legs, and I think that she will hopefully play a really important role for Wiebes over the next 2 days.
Yeah, I think we all feel for Kopecky, and everyone knows what Belgian media is like. We were listening to a segment that I came across on Instagram on the way back from the drive, and they're just ruthless. Some of the comments are unnecessary. For example, they were saying in Dutch, you pulled out of the Giro, do you think we can see the same thing here? Which is just such a horrible, not an idea to plant in a rider's head, but like to insinuate that.
It's a terribly direct thing to say to a rider who, for the majority of today, was yo-yoing off the back of a bunch she's usually riding off the front of. So no doubt these are thoughts that are going through Lotta's mind. To have the media then throw that back in her face in a public setting is pretty harsh. Not
to mention the comments from her sports director, Danny Stam, last night, where he was saying that the quote was something like, Lotta just wasn't good enough. And not only that, but he was saying that normally when Lotta's struggling, she'll let the team know that she's struggling so they can, play a different card. And she didn't do that yesterday, and he was publicly calling her out for that basically. And yeah, some of the quotes there were just a little bit disturbing to read, I think. And I just feel for Lotta, and it just felt like the sort of thing that could have been dealt with behind closed doors rather than airing that with the media, I thought.
It's Lefevre-esque, those sort of comments, and no one is here for it. A lot of team managers, because he functions basically as manager DS, would never pass those comments because you just don't do that. That's something that happens internally. Let's not forget what Lotta Kopecky has given to Lorena Wiebes, because basically Stan was saying that if she had let them know sooner, Wiebes probably, I think he was alluding to, she would have had the opportunity to win the stage. I don't think that. I think yesterday was actually too hard. But yeah, let's not forget how much Lotta has given to the team this year and how many lead outs she's done for Wiebes. She's an integral part in Wiebes' success, and I really believe that.
Yeah, 100%. But I've said it once, I'll say it again, a fish will always rot from the head. And if you got Danny Stam, who cannot separate church and state with manager DS role, like there is so many things wrong with that. How can you be an objective sport director when you're also looking at your riders from a commercial perspective for the business of the team? So I think there are many things wrong within the realm of SD Works currently, and that speaks to their subpar performances when we look to previous years. Yeah,
just to highlight what Loren said as well, the fact that Kopecky's had such a bad year, in quotes, I mean, you win Tour of Flanders, it's automatically not a bad year, but by her lofty standards, it has been a bad year. For her to have a bad year but still be as good as she has been for Wiebes shows her character and shows her class. And we saw it again today after being dropped, and we'll probably see it again over the next few days. So yeah, just a shout out, I guess, to Kopecky. She's struggling, and I hope she can bounce back.
Fighting the good fight.
Look, I think Kopecky is a champion. She's got those stripes in her back, and she's going to give everything tomorrow to Wiebes because she is a team player. She'll put her head down and she'll do her job. And, I think Wiebes has a good shot tomorrow, and maybe that will lift a little bit of the team spirit within the camp, because it clearly at the moment they're all a bit down. I think the vibe there is not good. I mean, how would you feel at this moment? I think it's worth mentioning because it is the Tour de France Femmes. We should just talk about the jerseys. So as mentioned, Kim Lecourt took the yellow. Marianne Vos is still sitting in the green jersey on 71 points. So that's a close battle to Wiebes. And then for Cofidis, really nice to see the young French rider Julie Begot sitting in the white leaders jersey. So that's the young riders jersey with 22 seconds on Ninka Vinka, the very talented Team Picnic post-NL rider. For teams, FDJ Suez is sitting in the lead ahead of Canyon Schramm. And then finally with the QOM jersey, controversial, Elise Shabby is sitting at 10 points, 4 points ahead of Silke Smulders, who had a fantastic ride, and Mavi Garcia, her teammate, in third. So as I alluded to earlier in the podcast, Matt has written a really great piece on this. And if you want to talk a little bit more about it, Matt, we'd like to hear.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke a little bit about FDJ Suez last night, but I think I wrote tonight that Elise Shabby kind of didn't end up in the QOM jersey by accident. You obviously don't wear a jersey at the Tour by accident, but it was kind of one of those things where she found herself in the right position yesterday to be able to just punch over that Cat 3 climb with a little effort, and that got her the lead. And then today she was given the green light from her team to go for it on the short, the Cat 3 climb at the start as well today, to be able to secure that jersey, knowing that doing that would give her the lead into the next few days. And it just so turned out that move off the front with Silke Smulders got away, and they got a gap quite quickly. And while Shabby didn't win that QOM, she did get enough points throughout the day to lock up the lead for the next few days. And it's kind of an interesting question that we've had of like, why would Shabby be so all in on the QOM jersey when the team has said that the plan is Vollering? That's the only plan that really matters, is Vollering for GC. So why wouldn't Shabby be saving herself? And I kind of investigated that a bit today, and it seems like it was more a case of they just had the opportunity to go for it, so why not? And having her up the road seemed to have some sort of benefit later on. That was the argument from the team staff anyway, and that their view is that over the next 2 days, when things get a bit easier, that she'll be able to recover and still be good. And in fact, we saw Shabby today after she got caught in the break. She had a moment to relax, and then she was back on the front doing some work, and then was able to go again to get more points on the last QM as well. So I don't think her efforts today are going to cost them much at all in the long run. And ultimately, Elise Chabet is an entertaining rider. Aggression is what she does, is what she's known for, and what she does so well. She loves a QM jersey. She's won a bunch in her career, and I think it's entertaining. I've really enjoyed watching her race so far this tour, and I think we'll see more entertaining racing from her.
Yeah, and I must do a bit of a mea culpa and say apologies to Elise Chabet and the FDJ Suez team for the harsh critique last night. It was late. I was having McDonald's, and we got a bit heated. So, she is within her right to go for the QOM jersey, even if, it's on stage one.
I think another way to look at it is, to your point, Matt, it is the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift to have the polka dot jersey, even though their ambition is yellow and there's a good chance Demi will pull that on at some point. To have a jersey at the Tour de France is really important for the sponsors. A lot of the sponsors are here. I mean, FDJ is a big sponsor of this race. They're in the publicity caravan. They've got people in the VIP area. It is important. And I think to give back to the domestiques is another important point. And Elise Chabet, I think for me, is going to be a key part of Demi's potential success.
Well, especially when, we saw Juliette a little bit today, but we haven't really seen Evita. So it's, hopefully Demi does have the support when she hits the high mountains, but Chabet is definitely putting her EOI out for Super Domestique of the Tour.
All right, I think that's a good point to wrap up the stage. And we're going to hear from one last rider from Uno X to round things out before we join you again for stage 3 tomorrow. As Georgie said, it's going to be a longer stage tomorrow, a flat one. Get ready for the sprinters. Hopefully you've got your fantasy league all set up and you picked Weebers for tomorrow, because then you're going to be making a lot of points. So let's hear now from Susanne Andersen from Uno X.
Hello. So today I started with sort of an early morning on the bus. And I was sitting in the back together with our doctor and the DS, when all of a sudden our DS, he moves really quickly trying to save this coffee cup that none really noticed on the table, that flew off and spilled coffee a bit everywhere on my socks and everything. And you might think that this would just be the start of a bad day, but it was actually quite a good day for us as a team. I think everyone did really well. We put our leaders safely into the final, and so far the tour is going, I would say, nice and steady for us, and we're really looking forward to the sprint stage tomorrow.
Thanks to our final guest voice note from Susanne Andersen from Uno X. We're going to wrap things up now for the non-subscribers. But if you're a subscriber, stick around, because we're going to dive into a few more topics and, have a little glass of wine. Good evening, au revoir, and see you tomorrow.